Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to an all-new Season 3 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. Kits offers a fully loaded cross-channel marketing suite for the real estate industry, including tools to help you manage your business, build mindshare, and drive even more sales. You can learn more on my site, mindshare101.com, by clicking on Marketing. I also want to share that our push to 100 reviews is on. We are working to get to 100 reviews on iTunes. So here's how this works. Go to iTunes, rate the show, leave a review, and you will be entered into a draw to win a free one-to-one strategy coaching call with me. Today's episode is number 111. She's a sought-after strategist, best-selling author, podcaster, professional keynote speaker, and respected voice of women's empowerment movements. Her purpose is to fire people up while igniting passion, uncovering purpose, and inspiring progress. And her secret power is creating clarity in chaos by sharing truth wrapped in grace with a side of sass, moxie, and fire. Joining me today on the first episode of Season 3 is Debra Trappen as we talk about how to fire up your year. Debra, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Wow, it sure is fun listening to you read my bio. Love that voice. And yeah, welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021, right?
For real. It has been a very happy new year. You know what? This has been a great start to the year. We're already January 6th. We're 6 days into it. I feel like so much has been accomplished over these I'll even include today, like past 3 days, but look, that doesn't come with the planning, that doesn't come with the goal setting, that doesn't come with the determination, and being prepared for all of it. So it's been a great holidays, and as I explained to you before we got on air here, it was the only downside was that my backyard rink wasn't ready, but the temperatures are dropping hard starting today. They're going to get cold over the weekend, so fingers are crossed that we're going to be skating. The problems I've had in life.
Yeah, well, what's so funny is my Canadian family, or framily as I like to call them, there's two camps. There's those who hate the winter and want to flock to wherever it's warm, and then there's fellas like you who are like, bring the winter, like winter is coming and I cannot wait. I love it. I also love the cold. I love any opportunity to put on snow boots and all of the layers and crunch through fresh snow. There is something so peaceful, and it's almost divine, right? It's quiet.
Well, you mentioned when we spoke like a month ago or something, 2 months ago, you said you were up in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And like that got me going like, I'm so jealous. I think I mentioned, I'm like, no, don't rub it in.
I was at Lake Chelan. So before we go any further, I had no idea that this was episode 111. And I know that there are going to be some of my friends who I think I saw Marianne in here earlier. 11 is my number, David.
Come on.
It is my number.
Really?
Like the name of my book is Fire Up, Taking Your Life and Business to 11. This is crazy. Like when you said it, I was like, jaw drop. Of course, it's episode 111. I completely just embrace everything around 11. I celebrate every 11/11. My husband and I were married on an 11th. We were engaged on 11/11. I mean, it's crazy how that number is just wrapped around me. So this is going to be an even fiercer conversation than I had imagined, and I am ready.
That is so cool. And it's funny because my son was born in 2011. Not that one has anything to match up with the other, but in like hockey terms, when we're talking about like, what is he? Oh, he's an 11. It doesn't mean he's 11. It means he was born into, anyways, whatever. You'll find there's a lot of hockey reference that happens. It just sort of like, oozes out. But tell me, it's first week back for most people right now. You could argue it's first week back for everybody, but that all depends again what you did in the past to be prepared for this first week back. I
Yes.
know for myself, we started the week before. We like really went heavy in the final week of the year, where most people go very easy in the final week of the year. But everybody is back, they're going full bore. Everybody else is, they're attacking their goals. They've got all these big New Year's resolutions. And then what are we, the 6th? So in about what are they saying, about 8 days from now, the like everybody falls off of it all and just drops off their plans, and they fall off that wagon and go just back to the normal way of doing things. So I'm just like, what's your big message out there right now to everybody?
What's interesting is about the speaking of numbers, when you are trying to create and form a new habit, the first 14 days are the easiest. And
Okay.
they seem like they're the hardest, but that is when you're kind of in the I know I can, I know I can, I know I can phase, right? It actually takes 66 days. Well, 63 really, but 66 is an 11. so, I always add 3. I actually do a really fun talk on the forming of habits and how we can get out of our own way by breaking it down into 6 segments of 11 days. Because it helps. Have you ever heard of Mel Robbins, her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Okay, so the whole premise behind that is it shifts how our brain works, right? And when we're building habits, we need to shift the way our brain works. We have to get it moving. We have to create a new neural pathway. And for so many of us, we're fighting against an old one instead of focusing on building a new one. So it's, I'm going to cut this out instead of I'm adding this.
I say for when it comes to habit, there's 3 pieces of a habit, right? We've got the trigger, we've got the action, and we've got the reward.
Yes.
And it goes for good habits, it goes for bad habits. I mean, I was just on the line with one of my coaching clients earlier on, and I said to him, and I used the example of, like, if you like to have a bag of chips at 1:00 in the morning, we all know that's not the healthiest thing you could possibly doing. But we have a habit, and the habit is, or the trigger is, that we're hungry. The action is that we eat the chips, and the reward is that they taste good.
Yeah.
And so there's this sort of the step-by-step of a habit. Now, taking that and wrapping that around, how do we put that into context, into growing the good parts? And I like the way you spun that, right? We try to get rid of the old instead of build on the new. You're kind of going down this road of, like, forget about the old, just build on the new.
Correct.
Right?
I am 100% in the camp of focusing on the positives and adding things, not losing weight, but finding health.
Love it.
And not, I have to drink more water, but how can I make my water more interesting, right? How can I add to it? Add a sprig of rosemary and some cucumber, maybe some lemon in there. Like, how can I add to the experience to make it more exciting for my brain, so that my brain is excited to go that direction, right? And so even in my world, I help people build habits around their core values, right? How do they not only define them and refine them, but how do they infuse them in their everyday decisions, so that at the end of the day, they're sitting down with their list of values saying, which one did I honor today? Which one didn't I honor today? And which ones have I ignored, right? The process that we missed in grade school and high school and higher education, and even in mentoring relationships, is defining those values and learning how to live with them, right? How to truly honor them in our lives. And so it for most people, it's the first positive habit they've built that they can see instant results with. Because if you value adventure and you really believe you value adventure and you wrote that word down, yet 6 weeks into the process, you have done nothing but sit on your butt and watch Indiana Jones having adventure.
Those were good movies.
Oh, come on. I can binge those with the best. But if that is need be, it's time to reassess the word adventure. Yeah. So that you can shake off the shame of not actually being the adventurer and focus on the fact that you really do actually enjoy downtime, alone time. Sometimes that might be with the TV and you love watching adventure, but it might also start showing up in other ways. You might like to read, you might like to take walks by yourself. And so it helps people refine truly that definition of who they are. And that the habit of that helps them unlearn things with that positive spin, with that space.
So when you say that, then it's as if, I mean, as if it is that we need to define the value before we can make the habit.
100%, 111%, David.
Of course, I got to start getting that one on.
Yeah,
So how do you define the value then?
Okay, so will you go through a core values exercise? I am happy for anybody who wants to go through a core values exercise. You can hit up my website at debratrappen.com/values exercise, values exercise, and get a free values exercise. I mean, it's everyone that breathes should go through this. It is an essential part. And again, like I said, we don't learn this in school. And we graduate and we start jobs and we start relationships and we maybe even start families. And we don't understand who we are. And what's really interesting is the older I get, the older my community gets, the older my clients get, I'm starting to see that.
No,
No, I'm actually, I love getting older. Like, I love the wisdom that comes with age. And
listen, you're talking about age, forgive me, but in about, you got to be kidding me. In 11 days from now, I will be turning 40. Not 10 days, not 12 days, 11 days.
See, it shows up. Crazy.
That only hit right when I was about to say it.
I love it. See, it shows up. It shows up. The age in our world, in this world that we live in particular, first world, right? We are so obsessed with youth. We're obsessed with the hustle. We're obsessed with the go, go, go. And there's so much senselessness around that. We cannot ever get younger. And we only have one beautiful life. So, well, focus is important. Senseless hustle isn't. You know, go. People who are busy all the time, I'm like, oh, I feel kind of sorry for you. Like, go outside and skate.
That is a great idea. I'm going to do that in my backyard.
It's about bringing everything together, and the values that you carry. And most of us continue with the same set of core values our whole lives. It's sometimes I have seen it shift, where if you have a huge life event, a large health crisis is usually pushes well-being or health towards the top of your list. If it wasn't on there before, it's added. But in general, we stick with these same core values, and every decision you make, who you marry, who you hang out with, who you say yes to as a client, what networking opportunities you go to, what volunteer opportunities you say yes to, it can all go through this filter of my values. And I truly believe that when we do that, that is when we feel less exhausted at the end of the day. Now, I'm not talking about the physical exhaustion that can come from, running a marathon or raising a toddler. I'm talking about the mental exhaustion from trying to be who you aren't with people you're not meant to serve, talking about things you weren't meant to talk about. And so many of us do that. And social media, if you don't use it well, can inspire us to do that, right? We can be in competition and really focused on comparing ourselves to each other, as opposed to stepping into our own power, our own sovereignty, and really leading others through with our unique voice and our unique value set.
Okay, so looking at this and going, we want to fire up our year, right?
Yeah.
And we know that habits are going to be a big foundational piece to changing those habits. And again, you've walked us through, the way we need to be thinking about that. Now, we talk about before the habit, it's, figure out what that value is, right? And I know
Yes.
through a lot of the learning I did about, you and your message, you also talk about defining your purpose. And I want to assume, and I'm going to say, clarify and sort of explain for us, but the idea around figuring out your core values probably comes just before purpose, and then purpose is kind of that next spot to it.
So I I have three pillars that I teach people that lead to that fourth, which is the networking, the even what career you get into. The
Mm-hmm.
first is your core values. The second is your soul tank, taking care of your soul tank. And anybody who has ever heard me speak before has heard me tell the story about the soul tank. So when I wrote Fire Up, my first book well, I wrote it in 2014, but when I launched it in 2015, the process that I went through of writing a book, what the biggest lesson I learned was the clarity around my words. So I'd been teaching these concepts, but hadn't actually created words that could be, a chapter name. And when you write a book, you have to have chapter names, right? And so defining your core values, that check. But then this area that a lot of people call it, like, what are you passionate about?
Yeah.
I didn't really want to use that word. At the time in particular, it was incredibly overused. Like, turn your passion into a paycheck.
You mean like let's pivot?
Yeah, P words, right? They really do get a bad rap. Um, poor lean startup, man. They really kicked that word off, and everyone really glommed onto it in 2020. But the concept of your soul tank is this place that, and I encourage everyone who's watching or listening to close your eyes and think of that space in your body that's kind of right in the middle of your torso. And it's this place that fills with joy, that fills with energy when you are with the people you love, doing the things you love, serving the communities that you love. And in particular in real estate, David, and I'm sure you've experienced this working with clients, most people who get into real estate are servant-hearted leaders. They wake up in the morning and they say, who am I going to help today? Who am I going to help today? And in order to do that, we have to have a full tank. And, my first 10 years in the industry were in brokerage, and I sold real estate. I was the director of training all the way up to the chief experience officer for Coldwell Banker here locally. And I mentored thousands of agents and would see them at year 3, they would crash, and a lot of them would be ready to burn out. And it was because they were so focused on, it's kind of the joke at the time because gas was like $5 a gallon, but they would be so obsessed with how much gasoline was in their car tank, but so unfocused on how full their personal soul tank was. And so after they define their core values, I would have them go through a soul session, if you will, like write down right now 5 things that you love to do that you can do for free. Like
Hockey, riding motorcycles, hanging with my kids, playing baseball, and hockey.
Hockey, more hockey.
No,
but
I
this is
could go way
important. Maybe
deeper than
play
that.
hockey and watch hockey, right? So you could do both of those things for
Okay, I
free.
like that.
The point is we all have to have a list that we can go to. I have a calendar appointment on Monday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. that has the list of my core values in it, that has my list of soul tank activities, that has my purpose statement and my lifeline and all of those things in it. So every week I visit it, and every week I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do for my soul this week? What are my soul activities? And I need to support that because I have big things
Okay,
to do.
hold on. I want to stop you on one thing there because that was important right there. Not that the rest of it is not. Um, the part that you said from 8 to 10 a.m. on a Monday.
Yes.
That is a scheduled line item in your calendar.
Yes.
That's 2 hours of time that's focused on you.
100%.
Thank you.
Yes.
Look, I am a very big believer that to achieve anything we want in life, we need to be able to manage time.
Yes.
And a lot of that comes back to when I do make the joke, which is not a joke, about how much I love hockey and I love hanging with my kids and baseball and motorcycles and all that stuff. And we've got to make time for it. I told you I went on that ride 17 days. How do
Yes.
we make that happen? It
Yes.
is about understanding these things that you're going over with us. It is very much about blocking the time. When we block the time for it, we make it reality. Now, much the same with the soul and the way, you explain that, I'm going to parallel the same thing and say, you know, how much is the gasoline versus how much we put it in our souls. And I look at it and say the same thing around, we know when to get up and eat breakfast. We know when to have lunch. We know when to have dinner. We're feeding our bellies. What are we doing
Yeah.
to feed our brains? Right.
Yeah.
That's self-development. So
Yeah.
sorry, I wanted to clarify that because that's something that I talk a lot about, and
Yeah.
it's being echoed right now in different words, but very, very similar type of message.
Yeah. This is the beauty of community, David, right? There are, which leads beautifully into purpose, because one of the most interesting parts of the purpose conversation that I have with clients and audiences across the globe is, but someone else already does that. So how can it possibly be my purpose? Right? Oprah already says those things. Brene Brown already wrote those words.
I listened to
And
Seth
so,
Godin say exactly that this morning in his book.
did
Like
he?
you totally mentioned Oprah and said something like almost identical. That, anyways, great wise words.
It's so true. And this is what I say to people. Your purpose can be said in 11 words or less.
Okay.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Mine is
It's gotta be
I
11 though, right?
fire people up. Mine is in 4 words. I fire people up. I have been doing that since I was a wee lassie.
Yeah.
On the playground, I was that girl who wasn't only like inspirational, I was activating my friends.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you can do it. It was like, now what's next? And I always thought that everyone was like that. Of course, everyone's like, because it comes so naturally to you. And so there are ways that you can uncover your purpose. There are questions you can ask. What conversations fire you up? Like really fire up your soul. That when you're at a networking event, when you are at LobbyCon at Inman and you hear someone say that word, you're like, it's a magnet. Right?
Yeah.
You have to be part of it. You can write that down. You can call your best friend. You can call your partner. You can call your mom. These people likely see it so clearly because it is who you are. Your purpose isn't unique. The words, there are plenty of people on the planet who fire people up. What makes it unique is me and the people whom I'm tasked to serve on this planet. So the people I serve matched with me makes what I do unique. And that is what's so important in this whole process of defining that best version of who you are. I'm not my best version every single day.
Right.
But if I can wake up every morning and meditate and see her values, see what fires her up, remind her of the conversations that she is seeking, and ultimately step out into my day looking for those people to serve with that full tank, I am getting closer to being that best version way more often than not. And that ultimately for me is success. That is where I step into, I felt today was successful. I was able to serve people at my highest and best. And then they can go out and do that. And the ripple effects of all of that goodness going out there, that's what we need more of, because people will achieve greatness if they can come from that place. A business plan ain't going to do it.
Well, and this is the thing. So it's start off by defining those core values, and I mean, you've got a great exercise for people to do that. Figure out what's within your soul tank, and then define your purpose.
Yep.
And by defining your purpose is really digging deep within and going, who am I? What do I do? How do I do it? What really gets me going?
Right.
Right,
and it's like, it's a discovery, David, or almost like an uncovering.
Right.
Because like I said, it's already there. It's already part of who you are. And in the Fire Up book, there's a whole bunch of, like inquisitive exercises that you can go through that lead you if you're having a hard time. But most people, when they hear like I fire people up, they start to go, oh, I teach people, or I feed people, or I solve problems. It starts to come out like they're kind of, it's that place where people say, you're just a know-it-all.
You know what? But it's being confident in who you are and bringing that to the table, right? And
Yep.
then the more people that you can help and get them to that place, well, again, this is where success is coming from. So, you mentioned that too, right? Is defining success, measuring success. How do you, I guess, define that? And you just said, I mean, if I win, if I get that deal, if we get that, whatever it is, and of course we all naturally do it that way, right? But I believe as well that, especially in the real estate game, you're not going to get a deal every single day. So
No.
what can we do? And when we say, working hard, working hard, working hard, and I want to come back to that as well, is, well, here, let me do it that way. Let me go that way first for a second then. All the working hard that we do and the hustling hard and not having enough time for anything else. And we talk about the importance of time management. I need to get that next deal. So now
Yeah.
it's, well, I'm going to work hard, work hard, work hard until I get that, because if I take a break, I'm not getting that. And then how do I measure success? Right? So how do you take that and boil that down to a successful day every single day, not
Yeah.
just when that thing happens that you were aiming for? Does that make sense?
Right. Well, yes, because I consider a financial goal one slice of what success is for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I know that is because I've actually defined what success means to me. And this is a really fun exercise for people to go through this time of year as well, is defining your own success.
How do we do
And
that?
so how do we do that? Well, let me tell you, David. So there are two questions I encourage everyone to really just riff on,
Okay.
right? The first is asking yourself, or how about we do it this way? Complete the sentence. I am successful when. Okay. And just write as many as you want. I am successful when, well, these days we're pretty much having dinner with our family every night. So it could be, I am successful when I make 10 calls to new people. I am successful when I connect with 5 past clients. I am successful when there is no fighting at the dinner table. Like, I am successful
those
when
small little wins are
yes.
enough. And
Yes.
I'm completely in agreement with you. I'm going to give that one an 11 out of 10. I'm in complete agreement with you because, again, the time management aspect, the
Yes.
habit part of things that we talked about.
Yeah.
When you go into your schedule and you put in the 8 to 10 a.m. on a Monday morning, this is what I'm going to be doing. When you complete that, it's now a matter of essentially marking that complete. And again,
Yep.
to me, that's one of the, the habit, trigger, action, reward. There's the
Yes.
reward. The trigger
Yes.
was, it was in my calendar. The action was, I went and I completed it. The reward was, I got it done. Yeah. What am I doing next? Well, the trigger again was, hey, you finished something. There's something else to do. Look at the calendar and get it done.
Right.
And to
Well,
me, those
and
small little wins are what paint the bigger picture, right?
yes. And you could also add, sometimes that reward is a consequence. Instead of a reward, it's a consequence. And so you get to choose what that third word is, right, David? You get to choose, will you be rewarded or will there be a consequence?
Mm-hmm.
And the choice is ours, right? There are some days where you just need that bag of chips at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You're right. You're waking up at 3:00 in the morning. It's the witching hour and you need a nibble. The consequence is you might not feel great when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
However, I look at that as an opportunity to say, okay, so if I am waking up at the witching hour every night, I need to have better snacks.
Okay,
So
there's positivity. I like it.
So I might still say, well, if I'm hungry or if I'm waking up and that is my go-to, let me make it healthy. Let me make it something that I don't feel shame about. Let me make it something that I'm thrilled about, that I'm getting up, I'm going to have a little snack, I'm going to do a little journaling. Like if this is a habit that you want, it's quiet in your house, you want to be up that hour, go for it. There's no shame in it, but make it something that you choose. not something that just kind of happens to you. And that's why it's so important to have that for me to have that weekly check-in with myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is not 5 minutes of affirmations in the mirror, which I do every day, but it is a longer looking at my value words. How did I honor them last week? How will I honor them this week? Checking in so that once I've created what makes me feel successful, to go back to that. So I filled out the I am successful whens. That is what allows me, after a really cruddy day, after a day where I heard no, 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 I can look at that list and go, look, there was no fighting at dinner. I got a shower in today. I did all of these things that I know right now in this season, right now, those things, I had a successful day. Because I didn't get yeses here doesn't mean I had an unsuccessful day. And so we have to tell ourselves, we have to tell our brains what to look for in order to feel successful. And so if we create all of these beautiful, delicious statements that tell us when we know we're successful, then we can also create these I will be successful when. So those are kind of like your stretches, right? I will be successful when I have meals planned for the entire week. I will be successful when I X, Y, Z. So take your goals and break them down into the I will be successful whens. It could be I will be successful when I find a mentor on this topic. And the beauty of both of these statements is that the I am successful whens are the places where you're slaying already, where you focused on something and you know you're successful there. And when you see it, you can celebrate it. When you see an opportunity to fulfill the I will be successful when, that's likely when you have found a mentor. Or that's your flag to find a mentor on that, because that's what you're striving for. And if you want to take it to 11, then you look at that first list of where you're already successful and where you're looking for those breadcrumbs to remind yourself of how magnificent you are. Mentor someone else in those areas. Because if there's one way to really, really lift your spirit and create more positive energy in your space, raise that vibration, is serving someone else in an area where you know so much content. And so if you know how to do those things on that first list, you can serve someone else beautifully and selflessly and do it again yourself, right? Because you're teaching.
Absolutely. And okay, so we've gone through and we've labeled out really how to define what we're really trying to achieve. We both are coming at it from a very similar perspective, saying it a little bit differently, but it's that idea about mapping it out and
Yeah.
really enjoying those small little rewards, those successes that you've had.
Yeah.
Where you talk about I'm successful when, I will be successful when. To me, that's very much my personally, that's my gratitude journal. And it is coming down to, at the end of the night, I am grateful for example, I'm grateful that you took the time to join us today. I'm grateful for everybody that is tuned in today. You know, I am grateful when I get my calls done. And that's part of one of the little rewards, again, when we're mapping those things out in our day, where we do put in, this is when I'm going to make my phone calls. I finish it,
Yes.
get it done. That whether you heard 10 no's, you made 10 calls and heard 10 no's or not. Did you get the calls done? Did you map out to get them done? Yes. Did you get them done? Yes. That is a win.
Did you make the 11th call? Because that might be where the gold is.
But that's the thing, right? And oftentimes we give up. So I was going to say, that's a perfect segue there to say, so what if I know what I want and I've mapped this all out, but there's still that doubt. I don't
Mhm.
believe I can achieve it. It's like, you remember that first time you were sitting in the audience and the person on stage said, okay, it's time to write down your goals. And I know me, all I could think was, I don't know. I just want to have $1 billion and be able to do whatever I want in life. And, in your head, you're like, yeah, sure, buddy. You're like, I'm not writing this stuff down. This stuff doesn't make sense. It doesn't work, right? And once you actually lock into like realities of what it takes to create a business plan and set goals, it is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself, for your business, for your family, for the people around you. It is amazing. And I'm certainly not that guy that I was, but that first time I heard it, that's who I was. And there are
Right.
still people right now. There are people tuned into us right now. There are people that are going to be listening to this after that are going to sit there and go, okay, I got you. but I don't believe in it. And you know what? If I said it, I'm gonna write it down because they told me to write it down. And Dave always talks about, write down the almost impossible goals, the ones that I may not even achieve. Well, I want to drive you to get close because then you're going to be
Yeah.
winning anyways.
Yeah.
What happens if people still don't believe that they truly can achieve it?
There are all sorts of versions of the quote that if you don't believe you can, you won't. So it's simple. I mean, when you tell, this is psychology, this is neuroscience. If you tell your brain you've lost your keys, you're not going to find your keys for a long time. But if you tell your brain, I'm going to find my keys, I am going to find my keys. My keys are here. I'm going to find my keys. I'm about to find my keys. You will find your keys so much faster. And so I believe, and in my world, that's around writing custom affirmations paired with fire up statements for each one of your goals. So when I'm working with a client and they're goal setting, it's like, okay, so let's pull out your core values. let's pull those out, because when I hear you say, I want $1 bajillion, and I know that you're joking with the bajillion, or maybe you're not, but that to me says you value wealth because it allows you a freedom to do what you want to do. So the freedom wealth brings you is a value. And so if you can attach your goals to that value of freedom and wealth, you'll achieve them much more often than just saying, I want $1 million in my bank account by the end of the month. Right. And so you have to start at that macro, that time, just way down here, and say, what do I value? So I value wealth. So what are the actions I need to take? Who are the people I need to surround myself with that will keep me on task? And how will I ultimately feel? So if your goal is to increase your business by 50%, you already know that's attached to that value. So that's huge. Mm-hmm. What are the actions you need to take? Because if you made $10 last year and you want to make $20 this year, you need to do more work or shift your focus on your market. If you were focused on first-time home buyers, maybe it's time to look at move up or luxury or investors or wherever there's a little bit more moolah attached to the commission, right? But you know what you need to do. This is not rocket science. Sales is not rocket science. It's not. So you know what you need to increase.
Sales. Important word here. This industry treats many people as order takers, not salespeople. And there's a reason that sales is within the word of salesperson, and that is what realtors do, are salespeople. They are not order takers. And to clarify, right? Because we talk about we don't want to be sold, and we hate salespeople, and don't pitch me and all that stuff. Okay, cool. That said, remember something, that if you do want to get more business, a lot of this comes down to, again, knowing what you want to accomplish and then putting in the effort to make it happen and reaching out and connecting with people, because that's, again, how you get, knowing the value and knowing what the ultimate goal is, getting out and connecting with people. That's where you can, again, deliver value and you can help yourself grow. Right. But
correct.
sorry,
Well, and you said an important
different
word. You said people. See, so salesperson, we're humans. We aren't leads. We aren't systems. Those things are important. But the third part about building a really fired up goal statement is, who are the people you're going to surround yourself with when you are doing this? Where are you going to spend your time? So again, if you stated that you want to increase your sales and you have an idea of what you've done before, who else do you need to spend time with? Who else, what other relationships can you build? When I was in sales, when I first started, I was in my 20s, and the broker that hired me was like, you need to work with first-time home buyers. I was like, okay. You can use technology. Oh my gosh, you got a laptop. Woo! This was a big deal 20 years ago, right? And so I started working with first-time home buyers, and 6 months in, I was like, this job stinks. Like, what have I done? Because the things I valued, I value mastery, which it, in my definition, is a combination of efficiency and effectiveness.
Okay.
If there is one kind of buyer that is not efficient or effective immediately, it's a first-time home buyer. They have a million questions. And I was, at the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, these people aren't listening to me. They're asking me the same questions over and over and over again. They want to see 50 houses. Like, this is like, I was so overwhelmed. And so when I met my life coach, she was like, well, let's do a values exercise and see where it matches up. And I was like, the light bulb went on. I shifted my business to working with relo clients, investors, and luxury clients. And wherever I could find where those three would meet, that was like the golden client.
I like
right?
that.
And those were my favorite clients. So I only had to do 10 deals a year to meet my financial goals. And I got to work with people who valued their time and their efficiency over that money. So that $1,000 on the table was not that big of a deal, right? And so I had a more enriching career in sales in real estate when I defined who that ideal person was, because it was connected to my values. You see, it always comes right back to that. And so the goal has to be connected to your values. You have to understand the activities. And again, who are those people that you're going to create deeper relationships with? Because that's where the money comes from. People have to exchange dollars.
I have long said, and it's especially coming out of when we go to some of these conferences and lobby cons and everything else, that we are not leads. We are people. This is a people business. And so to automate and treat everybody like a robot, I am not a robot. I don't want to be automated. I want the relationship. In fact, most things in life, I mean, probably outside of Amazon, because you can't reach out and really grab them. I want to deal with somebody. You want to be able to shake a hand and talk and see and do and know that somebody is there for you. And I mean, is there any business, that is more important than in real estate, right? I mean, we're talking about the biggest asset of somebody's life. So it's absolutely crucial that you're involved in that process with people. So, you sold real estate. I'm curious, what was if there was something that you would say that people should be doing for marketing, right? And we know from AI, we know from bots, we know from lead gen and ads and online, digital this and that or whatever, but we know it's a people business.
Yes.
What is the most powerful way people can get out there, build some mind share for their businesses to be able to grow and I mean, grow in every way, success and business growth and family and all that stuff?
Well, I would say, first of all, I think there's different types of realtors, right? There's different types of business models in this industry. And so I think that for the individual, the solopreneur in real estate who builds their own individual book of business, that they nurture the relationships in, and that they are building that core, their Dunbar, their 150, that they are going to nurture those relationships and really, truly go all in. You need to know your niche. You have to know who your ideal client is.
Right.
And I take people through a process, let me say it the Canadian way. That is, ask yourself, again, some questions. I love questions. So the first is, who are the clients you have loved doing business with? Mm-hmm. So if you even look back, say at the last 2 years, last year was a little wackadoodle. So look over the last, just a wee bit. It wasn't bad. It was different. So if we look back at the last few years, write down 5 people that you absolutely loved serving. Who were they? And then write down some key words, write down a sentence or two that explains why. Why did you love working with them? Now, these are the people who, when they call or text and you see their name, you're like, yes, I can't wait to give them an update, even if it's a bummer update. Even if their offer wasn't accepted, you still want to nurture that relationship, right? So write those 5 people down and write down why. Then do the flip. And this is usually where you are groaning. Ugh. Who are the 5 people you've done business with that sucked the living life out of you? Those energy vampires, those vision vampires. Every time you talk to them on the phone, you were like watching your watch. How much longer do I have to stay on this call? Every time you met them at a house to walk the property, it was just treacherous and torturous for you, right? Something about them. Write down those people, because you need to understand why you didn't like to do business with those people, just as important as the first list, because those people knock you out of integrity. Those people inspire you to lie. And I'll give you the simplest example. When those people call, you hit that little magical option on your phone that says, I'm in a meeting, but you're not.
Right.
You need to get rid of those kind of clients, because in order to build that business, in order to look at your book of business as an individual and actually grow it, you need to make sure that how you're growing it at the core is with people you truly want to do business with. And so once you define who that ideal person is, it might be a luxury client, it might be a first-time home buyer client. What you're going to see right inside that exercise is the people who you share values with, the people you share soul tank activities with, and the people who allow you to step into your purpose with them are on the first list, and the people who are out of alignment with your values, soul tank, and purpose are on that second list. And so you can start to create this whole sentence on who around those ideal people. So if I love to work with first-time home buyers, it's probably because I love to teach people. I love creating lots and lots of new relationships in my life.
This comes right back to your values.
Comes right back to the values. And if my purpose is to teach, I'm teaching all the time. I'm teaching a first-time home buyer all the time. So if I love to work with them, then what is it that their biggest problem? Like, what is the 1 or 2 things that they absolutely need that they don't know they need, or that they're asking for, they haven't been able to find? So first-time home buyers is usually, there's so much information, they don't know what they don't know. So it's like information overload with the internet. They need a professional, right? They need to understand really what the process is.
Well, there was my point about people.
Yep.
Right. Like it goes so
100%.
far beyond the technology, right? It's got to be
Yes.
about the people. You've got to connect with people. And that's why I suggest, I mean, you can go out there and you can buy leads and buy all this stuff and not have any of these people and not know if they fit with your values and everything else. Or you can just try and actually meet one new person a day. That's 365 new people a year. And now you can really sift through and find your people. I mean,
Yes.
I've got this whole thing called the AMH, right? Audience Marketing Hustle. And I believe that this is the basis, the formulation around your entire marketing plan. The A stands with audience. Audience are the people.
Yes.
Right? That's how we get out there and grow our business. That's what I truly believe.
Well, and here's the reality, David, is once you know who your ideal is, it's not your only, right? So your crazy Aunt Jan, or your wild neighbor who you're like, oh my gosh. Like, sometimes you're going to serve people who aren't in that ideal, right? But if 80% or 90% of your business can be with that ideal avatar, that person that you love to spend time with, love to serve, that gets you, you get them, and that you're able to look at that problem, how you serve them that solution is fun. So the first-time home buyers, we know what they like. They like short, fast videos. They want you to be on the TikToks and having those super fast, like, what do we need to do today? Woo, this is the thing I need to do today. Boom, boom, boom. So you can serve them up. You can record yourself for an hour and cut that into 61 minutes of video conversation for them, so that they ultimately feel educated and empowered to make a decision. So you know what you need to do on a daily basis. How can you find more of those ideal clients? How can you help them see that the problem they have is the problem you solve, so that they feel the feeling they want to feel? And you can't do that if you're trying to be everything to everyone. Like, when I get things in the mail and they're like, I sell real estate in Seattle, I'm like, that means nothing to me. What?
Okay. So hold on. You find your people. What would you say is then Like what's a really good marketing tip you might be able to provide to people, to our audience that's listening, once they find their people? Is there one specific thing you'd say, like, do this?
For when they define who their ideal is.
They find exactly right, and now it's a
Yeah.
matter of getting out there, building the mind share. How do they connect with people? What should they be doing?
So one of the fun things now, everything is pretty virtual as far as meeting new people now. However, the beauty is we are in a time during a pandemic where we actually have this wild thing called the internet
What?
that 100 years ago didn't exist. And we have these things called hashtags and ways to search in a search bar. So go back to your value words, your soul tank words, and your purpose, and start finding the communities where people are hanging out that have those values, that are hanging out that love to do those things, and that are hanging out and ready for you to serve them with your purpose. It is not that difficult when you know who you are and you know who you want to serve. You can find them. If you love dogs, hang out in the local dog groups. If you love wine, like I do, talk about wine, hashtag wine, hang out in the wine groups, participate with them, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or now on Clubhouse, whatever the tools are that you're looking to use to build virtual connection. It's easy to find the people if you know the words to find them with.
And that's how you get closer to being able to achieve the goals. So,
Yes.
as I come backwards to goals for a second, then I want to ask you, are goals meant to be achieved? Are they just meant to drive us forward? What do you say on that?
It's a very cleverly worded question. You know, I I am the type of person who I am rarely satisfied even if I achieve a goal. So for me, it really is a motivator.
Yes. Thank you.
However, there
I'm
however,
on both sides as well here. So
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it's a combination. It's a dumb dichotomy. Why one or the other? Why not both? Right?
fair enough.
The concept of, if my BHAGs are usually motivators. Those are usually like get that big, hairy, audacious goal. Those are usually the motivators. Those are rarely achieved in 1 year. Those kind of flow from year to year, and then they're achieved. And at that point, I'm like, okay, what's my next one? Which is maybe a way in my world, I would say, is their goals are reminders to celebrate your success. So when you achieve it, it's a celebration. Because that is something that I'm very, very passionate about reminding everyone to do, David, which is when you have that weekly check-in with yourself, when you are reviewing your values and your goals and your soul sessions, when you've had a success, when you have checked something off of your list, when you got the yeses that you wanted, when you celebrated even hearing the no's, it's time to do something for yourself. It's time to celebrate, whether that's going out and walking the dog or going out to dinner with your friend, whatever it is that fills you, you have to celebrate it, because this is where that senseless hustle comes into play, right? Hustle on its own is not a bad thing. It's just a different word for staying motivated. Like, go, like, we're gonna achieve something. It's the senseless hustle, the where you never stop to slow down and experience the goodness that was created from a job well done.
Nice answer. Nice answer. I like it. I like it. And you know what? I do agree with it though, because I would say that the lifetime goals that we set are the big lifetimes. And I don't know that I'm going to achieve them today or this year. And I might,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I will. And instead of looking at the end of the year and going, oh my God, I did not achieve what I set out to do, that's going to be disappointing. Let's look at what that is that we want and break it down into a yearly format and say, can I get that in the next 365 days? Or what can I do in the next
Yeah.
365 that's going to get me closer to that? But I mean, that's full circle right back to the time management conversation and the
Yes.
rewards and the habit, because to me, it's, as soon as we wrap up the podcast and then I go into my schedule and I say, hey, podcast complete, to me, that's a reward,
Yeah.
right? I set out to do something, I did it, and that feels good. And I'm going to enjoy that for that brief moment and move
Yes.
on to the next. And there's the
Yes.
trigger, action, reward,
Yes.
right? And now we're constantly in a positive flow. And I mean, to
Yes.
me, look, not everything is going to work out perfectly. We're not going to accomplish everything we set out to do in a day all the time. And we're not going to, as we said, we're not going to feel our best every single day.
Right.
When we can enjoy the little wins, we're not waiting 365 days to review the wins and see if we accomplished anything.
Huge.
So driven and motivated every single day.
Absolutely. If we all can raise that vibration in our homes, in our businesses, that the celebratory side of things is so important. The going for our goals, the hustling, the working towards them, the doing the work is important, but it's not more important. It's as important as the being and the celebrating it. It's so key.
That's, look, to me, that's how you win your year.
Amen.
Because when we start today and we look, or we started, a few weeks ago, but we look at this entire year, it's like climbing a big mountain. You can't even see the top. You start to get worried. You go, I can't see the clouds. I don't know what's going to go on. I think I could do this. You start getting up the mountain. You realize it's cold. It's going to take work. Oh my God, I need to eat. I need to sleep.
Oh my God, I need to eat.
Whatever.
I need my chips.
Yeah, whatever. Right. For me, it's actually popcorn, but and I normally do the popcorn around 11 p.m. But no, it's that thing of continuing to stay motivated, right?
Yes.
Continuing to enjoy every little step rather than looking at the big picture. And now, as my friend Cheryl says, it's not about trying to eat the elephant all at one bite, right?
That's right.
So tell me, Deb, what last words, what tips, what can you share with everybody, above and beyond all the amazing stuff you just shared with us? What can you share with everybody to help them get out there, build some mind share, fire themselves up for this year, and really take on 2021 to a whole new level?
Well, let's see. Goodness, we've talked about so many things, but there is one thing that I really practiced in 2020 that I would love to encourage everyone who is listening to test out. And that is weaving your goals and your values together physically. So one of the things I love to consume content. I love listening to podcasts. I love reading blogs. I love listening to books. I love storytelling, right? And so I wove that in with, well, let's just say when March 15th hit, I realized I was not going to be on 75 planes this year. I was not going to be moving as much this year. And so I knew I was going to have to get out and physically move my body this year, or last year, I should say, 2020. So I made myself a deal. I could listen to my books when I was walking. Mm-hmm. And so how can you turn your activities in and interconnect them so that you, when the fire up concept is taking things to 11, it's not that 10 is not a good achievement. It's what's that one little extra thing. So how can you look at the things that you want to do and say, how do I marry these with other things I want to do? So I am being more efficient and effective. I'm mastering the time that I have so that I ultimately have more margin for what matters to me. More margin for what matters to me. We can't get more time. So if we can really truly weave together the things that we want to do and make our time more masterful, then we will find that margin and we'll have more time to ice skate, to watch hockey, to eat popcorn at 11 o'clock. We'll have more time to do those things that we really love.
So ultimately, it all boils down to manage time.
Manage time.
I mean, there's a lot more to it.
Engage with time intentionally. Intentionally invest your time.
I like that. So time management is a big thing.
Yeah.
This has certainly been a powerful conversation. It is a topic that I could literally run on and on with you today about, because I believe strongly in it. And as I said, being, that guy in the audience many years ago who literally sat there and said, I want $1 bajillion. And I will clarify for everything right now that I am not there's a part of me that is money motivated, absolutely. But it is not the be all and end goal of mine. Mine now comes down to, and it's been this for a long time now, and this is where Mindshare evolved, was helping this industry grow, helping this industry get better, and helping every single person in it clarify, and simplify the process to achieving what they want to achieve. And I'll tell you that that has become one of my big values. And, as you said, what would you do without getting paid for? And I labeled off hockey and riding motorcycles. Like, I immediately thought about what we do right here and what I do for a living,
Yes.
and it's amazing. And you want to watch how you say that, because I don't want everybody to think like, I don't want to get paid, but there really is something. And I've said this many times, even from the stage where I stand there and I go, I don't even consider it a job anymore. I just love what I do with this.
Yeah. Well, it's your life's work.
Yeah.
It's your life's work.
Right.
And the Soul Tank activities, to be even clearer, it's not things that it may be things that you get paid for. I just don't want you to have to pay for them. So I love drinking champagne at the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I noticed you've got one behind you. Is that true?
Yeah. They're all over my home.
Okay,
I'm a Francophile. Cool. Like, I love France and Italy. But however, I can't get there every day. They won't even let us in right now. So I have to have things on that list that I can do for free. And there are times, like you're saying, when we as humans walking this beautiful experience have this blessing that in this season right now, David, you are doing your life's work. That's why it doesn't feel like a job. And we can all find that in almost any career that we're in. It's just, we have to dig deeper sometimes. So I'm wishing everyone, health and wealth and moments filled with wisdom this year, for sure.
This has been absolutely amazing. Where I know you label off your website, and we've been posting it up in the group here in the chat. Where can people find you, though? What have you got that you want to direct anybody to?
Yeah, so I would say the best way to get connected and to kind of get a little bit more of a flavor for me, obviously, would be debratrappen.com. However, this time of year, I host I offer a free guide. It's same, debratrappen.com/my moxie life 2021. And this guide helps you define your guiding word for the year. Mine is flourish. And I'm not you know me, got to take it to 11. So I choose a word and then I create an acrostic to support the word. So I take the first letter, take each letter and turn it into a statement that supports that word. And so the guide helps you do that. It also helps you define some really fun life commitments. So these aren't your business goals. This is like a skill you want to improve, the 11 people you want to build deeper relationships with this year, the one habit that you want to form, the one place you want to visit. So it's really a fun way to create some commitments to yourself for personal development. So that's a really fun place to start as well. Again, debratrappen.com/my moxie life 2021.
Wicked. I encourage everybody to go check that out. Go and define more about who you are. We are at the top of the year. I know most people have not done their planning. They have not done the goal setting. They are flying by the edge of their seat. And to all of you, I want to encourage you. A plan is absolutely massive to achieving ultimate success for what you want. We are at the top of the year. If you haven't done it yet, there is no better time than right now. Of course, we're both here to help you guys with that. So I encourage you. The links are all in the comments of the live here today. For those of you that are listening to the audio, I encourage you to check out my Facebook business page. Go find the video on this. There's a ton of links in there. Thank you, Cheryl. Deb, this has been awesome. Thank you. It's been deep. It's been powerful. It's certainly fired me up.
Excellent.
And I hope it's done the same for everybody else. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. And if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a free consultation call to learn more about, well, what you're looking to achieve and how I will help you do just that. Also, don't forget our push to 100 is on, so please be sure to go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, leave a review, rate us, and you will be entered into a draw for a free one-to-one strategy coaching call with me. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to once again thank our sponsor, Kits Keep in Touch Systems, for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked them out yet, just go to my site and click on Marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.